action styles. Kratos, Tiger, DreamWorks Kung Fu.
Don't tell Monkey.
Everybody was
Jack Black,
I just ate, so I'm still digesting, so my kung fu might not be as good.
Kung Fu Panda,
How's that?
What happens when a clumsy, noodle-loving panda is chosen to be the legendary dragon warrior? That's the story of Kung Fu Panda, 2008, a film packed with epic kung fu action, comedy, and heart. In this video, we'll review the movie and reveal some amazing behind-the-scenes facts you probably didn't know. Welcome to S Film Studio. The story takes place in the Valley of Peace, a magical land in ancient China where animals live like humans. Jack Black, a clumsy but lovable panda, is obsessed with kung fu and dreams of being like his idols, the Furious Five. The five are master fighters: Tigress, Angelina Jolie, Monkey, Jackie Chan, Mantis, Seth Rogen, Viper, Lucy Liu, and Crane, David Cross, all trained by their strict red panda teacher, Master Shifu, Dustin Hoffman, at the Jade Palace. Po helps his goose father, Mr. Ping, James Hong, run a noodle shop, but deep down he dreams of being a kung fu warrior. He collects action figures of the Furious Five and fantasizes about fighting alongside them. But Po feels discouraged because of his weight, clumsiness, and lack of training. His father, more focused on noodles and his secret ingredient soup, doesn't understand his son's real dream. Meanwhile, the wise old tortoise master Roagway, Randall Duck Kim, who is Shifu's mentor, has a vision that Shifu's former student, Tai Lung, Ian McShane, an evil snow leopard, will break out of prison and return to take revenge after being denied the Dragon Scroll, a legendary scroll said to hold the secret to unlimited power. Worried, Shifu sends his goose messenger, Zhang, Dan Fogler, to strengthen the security at Ka-Urgum prison, where Tai Lung is locked up. Oogway then announces it is time to choose the Dragon Warrior, the one true master who can read the Dragon Scroll and save the valley. To find out who it is, Shifu organizes a tournament between the Furious Five. The announcement spreads quickly, and villagers rush to see the competition. Po is thrilled at the chance to watch his heroes but struggles to get up the long temple stairs while dragging his noodle cart. When he arrives, the doors close, and he's locked out. Desperate, he straps fireworks to his cart, blasts himself into the air, and crash lands into the arena right in front of Oogway's finger. To everyone's shock, Oogway declares Po the Dragon Warrior. Despite Shifu's protests, Oogway's decision is final. Po is taken into the temple, leaving Tigress and the others disappointed, especially since Tigress believed she was destined for the role. Shifu, convinced Oogway made a mistake, tries to make Po quit by mocking and humiliating him during training. Inside the temple, Po is amazed by the weapons and artifacts, but Shifu ruins his excitement and even threatens him with the legendary Wuxi finger hold. In the training hall, Po faces tough exercises but is easily beaten, humiliated, and labeled level 0. The Furious Five ridicule him, thinking he has no skill, which crushes Po's spirit. Sad and hopeless, Po hides under the peach tree of heavenly wisdom. Oogway finds him there, eating peaches, and gently advises him not to worry about the past or future but to live in the present and believe in himself. Encouraged, Po decides to keep trying. Though training is brutal, Po's persistence, humor, and cooking skills slowly win over the Furious Five except Tigress, who remains distant. Tigress eventually reveals why Shifu was so harsh. He raised Tai Lung from a cub, believing he was the Dragon Warrior. But when Oogway sensed darkness in Tai Lung and denied him the Dragon Scroll, Tai Lung went on a violent rampage. Shifu couldn't fight his adopted son, so Oogway had to defeat him and imprison him. Since then, Shifu has carried guilt and shut himself off emotionally, even from Tigress, whom he raised. Meanwhile, at Kaurhum prison, Zhang delivers Shifu's warning. The warden, Commander Vicar, Michael Clark Duncan, a rhino, boasts that Tai Lung could never escape. But when one of Zhang's feathers falls into Tai Lung's reach, the snow leopard uses it to unlock his restraints and breaks free in a spectacular fight, destroying the prison. He captures Zhang and sends him back to tell Shifu that the real Dragon Warrior is coming. When Shifu learns Tai Lung has escaped, he goes to Oogway for guidance. Oogway makes him promise to believe in Po, then passes away peacefully under a cloud of blossoms. Shifu informs the Furious Five and Po that Tai Lung is coming, insisting Po is their only hope. But Po panics and runs off, thinking he can't handle it. Shifu confronts him, and Po admits he always hated himself but hoped Shifu could change him. Shifu admits he doesn't know how to train Po, which Tigress overhears. Determined, Tigress and the rest of the five leave to stop Tai Lung on their own. Shifu then notices Po doing amazing acrobatic moves when food is involved. Realizing this, Shifu decides to train Po differently. Using food as motivation, Shifu takes him to the sacred pool of tears in the Wudan Mountains and finally accepts him as his true student. Through clever training based on his love for food, Po grows stronger, faster, and more skilled, surprising everyone. In a sparring match with Shifu over a dumpling, Po shows incredible technique, and when he offers the dumpling back instead of eating it, it proves he has grown not only in strength but in spirit. Meanwhile, Tigress and the five fight Tai Lung on a mountain bridge. At first, they seem to defeat him, but Tai Lung recovers and overpowers them with his Kai-blocking strikes, paralyzing them. Only Crane escapes to warn Shifu. Believing Po is ready, Shifu presents him with the Dragon Scroll. But when Po opens it, he finds only a blank golden reflection. Everyone thinks the scroll is meaningless. As Tai Lung arrives, Shifu tells Po to evacuate with the villagers while he stays behind to fight. Po, heartbroken, goes to his father, who finally reveals the secret ingredient to his soup. Nothing. The soup is special because people believe it is. This makes Po realize the truth of the Dragon Scroll. The power comes from within. Po rushes back as Tai Lung arrives at the temple. Shifu battles his old student, who accuses him of filling his head with false dreams. Shifu admits he was proud of Tai Lung but blinded by that pride, failing to see the darkness in him. Still, Tai Lung demands the scroll. Just as he is about to finish Shifu, Po arrives with the scroll. Surprised by Po's appearance, Tai Lung fights him through the village. Their battle is both intense and comedic, as Po uses his size, agility, and creativity, especially his bouncing belly to counter Tai Lung's attacks. Finally, Tai Lung seizes the scroll, but when he opens it, he sees only his own reflection and doesn't understand its meaning. Po explains that there is no secret to only believing in yourself. Furious, Tai Lung attacks recklessly. Po eventually defeats him using the waxy finger hold, a move he taught himself. With one flick of his pinky, Po unleashes a shockwave that destroys Tai Lung. The villagers cheer Po as the true dragon warrior. The Furious Five bow to him, calling him master. Po then rushes to check on Shifu, who lies weakened but alive. Shifu thanks Po for bringing him peace, though he insists he's only resting, not dying. Po lies beside him, and after a moment of calm, asks if Shifu wants to get something to eat. Kung Fu Panda is a 2008 American animated martial arts comedy film made by DreamWorks Animation. It is the first movie in the Kung Fu Panda series, directed by John Stevenson and Mark Osborne, with the story written by Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger. The film stars Jack Black as the voice of Po, the main character. Set in a version of ancient China filled with talking animals, the story follows Po, a clumsy but lovable giant panda who dreams of becoming a kung fu master. His life changes when it is predicted that Tai Lung, a powerful and dangerous snow leopard, will escape from prison and attack the Valley of Peace. To everyone's surprise, Po is chosen as the Dragon Warrior, a legendary hero destined to read the Dragon Scroll, which is said to hold the secret to unlimited power. The movie's development began in October 2004, and at first, it was planned to be more of a parody of martial arts films. But later, director John Stevenson decided to turn it into a true action comedy inspired by the wuxia, martial hero, genre, while also shaping Po's story as a classic hero's journey. The project was officially announced in September 2005. Like many other DreamWorks films, the music score was composed by Hans Zimmer, but this time he worked together with John Powell. Zimmer even traveled to China to understand the culture better and included the China National Symphony Orchestra in the film's music. Kung Fu Panda had its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival on May 15, 2008, before being released in theaters in the United States on June 6. Distributed by Paramount Pictures, the movie was a huge success, earning $632 million worldwide on a budget of $130 million. It became the third highest-grossing film of 2008 overall and the top-grossing animated film of that year. Critics gave it positive reviews, praising its humor, heart, and animation. It was also nominated for Best Animated Feature at both the Academy Awards and the Golden Globe Awards. The success of Kung Fu Panda led to the creation of a big franchise, including TV shows, games, and sequels. The first sequel, Kung Fu Panda 2, was released in 2011 and continued Po's journey as the Dragon Warrior. The casting for Kung Fu Panda 2008 was a pivotal element in bringing the animated martial arts comedy to life, blending A-list Hollywood talent with voice performances that infused personality into the anthropomorphic animal characters. The film, directed by Mark Osborne and John Stevenson, was produced by DreamWorks Animation, and the casting decisions were overseen by casting director Lely Feldman. Feldman's role was crucial in assembling a voice cast that not only featured star power but also actors who could capture the essence of Kung Fu legends in comedic timing. Her experience in animation casting, including previous work on DreamWorks projects, allowed for a mix of established stars and character actors who could deliver nuanced vocal performances. The process involved auditions, script reads, and director approvals, with an emphasis on actors who could improvise and add spontaneity to the recordings, as animation often lacks the immediacy of live-action filming. The selection of Jack Black as the voice of Po, the clumsy panda who becomes the Dragon Warrior, was one of the most inspired casting choices. Black, known for his energetic and comedic roles in films like School of Rock, 2003, and Nacho Libre, 2006, brought a fanboy enthusiasm that mirrored Po's character arc from noodle shop worker to kung fu hero. Directors Osborne and Stevenson noted in interviews that Black's involvement was a major draw for Osborne, who was a huge fan of the actor and saw the role as a perfect vehicle for Black's zany energy. Black's background as the lead vocalist for the rock duo Tenacious D added a layer of musicality and improvisation to his performance, allowing him to ad-lib lines that enhanced Po's humorous personality. Behind the scenes, Black's recording sessions were filled with physical comedy. He would act out Po's moves in the booth, providing animators with reference material to capture the character's exaggerated expressions and body language. This approach helped make Po relatable and endearing, contributing to the film's box office success of over $631 million worldwide. Black's commitment extended to promotional events, where he embodied Po's spirit, further cementing the casting as a match made in animation heaven. Dustin Hoffman, voicing Master Shifu, the stern Red Panda mentor, represented a casting coup for the production. Hoffman, an Oscar-winning actor with a storied career including The Graduate, 1967, Kramer vs. Kramer, 1979, and Rain Man, 1988, was chosen for his ability to convey depth and authority through voice alone. The directors appreciated Hoffman's method acting style, which differed from Black's improvisational approach, adding variety to the recording sessions. Hoffman delved into the character's backstory, a former student of Oogway who grapples with failure after his adopted son Tai Lung turns villainous. Behind the scenes, Hoffman requested multiple takes to refine Shifu's emotional layers, from gruff trainer to vulnerable father figure. His performance notes highlight how he used vocal inflections to portray Shifu's internal conflict, making the character more than a stereotypical master. The choice of Hoffman elevated the film's dramatic elements, balancing the comedy and providing a counterpoint to Po's antics. Stevenson's comments emphasized how Hoffman's talent made the voice recording process rewarding, as the actor's insights influenced script tweaks during sessions. Angelina Jolie was selected to voice Master Tigress, the fierce and disciplined leader of the Furious Five, drawing on her action hero persona from films like Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005. Jolie's background as an Academy Award winner for Girl, Interrupted, 1999, and her humanitarian work added gravitas to the role, but it was her vocal strength and intensity that made her ideal for Tigress, a tiger with a no-nonsense attitude and hidden softness. The casting decision was influenced by Jolie's ability to portray strong female characters, aligning with the film's theme of inner strength. Behind the scenes, Jolie worked closely with the directors to explore Tigress's backstory, including her orphanage origins and loyalty to Shifu. Performance notes indicate that Jolie modulated her voice to convey Tigress's toughness while hinting at vulnerability, especially in scenes where she questions Po's selection as the dragon warrior. The directors praised Jolie's professionalism, noting how her sessions brought a level of authenticity to the Furious Five's dynamics. This casting not only boosted the film's star appeal but also contributed to Tigress becoming a fan favorite, inspiring spin-off content in the franchise. Ian McShane's casting as Tai Lung, the snow leopard antagonist, was a strategic choice to bring menace and complexity to the villain. McShane, recognized for his roles in Deadwood, 2004 to 2006, as Al Swearingen and later in the John Wick series as Winston, was selected for his deep, gravelly voice that could intimidate without over-the-top theatrics. The directors wanted a villain who was tragic rather than purely evil, and McShane's experience in portraying layered anti-heroes made him perfect. Behind the scenes, McShane recorded lines that emphasized Tai Lung's betrayal and ambition, drawing from his own interpretations of the script. Performance notes highlight how McShane's delivery added emotional depth, making Tai Lung's escape from prison and confrontation with Po memorable sequences. Stevenson mentioned in interviews that McShane's style complemented the other actors, creating a balanced ensemble. The role allowed McShane to explore voice acting, and his performance influenced the character's design, with animators amplifying the leopard's ferocity based on audio cues. Jackie Chan, a martial arts legend, was an obvious choice for Master Monkey, one of the Furious Five. Chan's extensive filmography, including Rush Hour, 1998, and Police Story, 1985, made him synonymous with Kung Fu, aligning perfectly with the film's theme. The casting was intended to pay homage to the genre, and Chan's enthusiasm for the project stemmed from his love of animation and desire to introduce Kung Fu to younger audiences. Behind the scenes, Chan incorporated real martial arts philosophy into his lines, advising on authenticity during recordings. Performance notes show that Chan's voice brought warmth and wisdom to Monkey, a character known for agility and humor. The directors noted Chan's unique working style, which involved physical demonstrations in the booth to inspire animation. This casting decision not only added credibility but also helped market the film internationally, particularly in Asia. Seth Rogen voiced Master Mantis, the tiny but mighty member of the Furious Five, bringing his signature comedic timing from films like Knocked Up, 2007, and Pineapple Express, 2008. Rogen was chosen for his ability to deliver dry humor, making Mantis's size-related jokes land effectively. His background in Judd Apatow comedies provided the irreverent edge needed for the character. Behind the scenes, Rogen's sessions were filled with improvisation, including his famous laugh, which became a hallmark in the film. Performance notes emphasize how Rogen's voice contrasted with the character's small stature, creating comedic irony. The directors appreciated Rogen's contributions, which added levity to group scenes with the Furious Five. Lucy Liu as Master Viper brought elegance and grace to the snake member of the Furious Five. Liu, known for Charlie's Angels, 2000, and Kill Bill, Volume 1, 2003, was selected for her strong yet feminine presence, fitting Viper's compassionate and deadly nature. The casting aimed to diversify the ensemble with actors experienced in action roles. Behind the scenes, Liu focused on Viper's backstory as a dancer-turned-warrior, infusing her performance with fluidity. Performance notes highlight Liu's soft vocal delivery, which made Viper's strikes surprising and effective. Stevenson's comments praised Liu's talent, noting how her style enhanced the team's dynamics. David Cross voiced Master Crane, the avian member of the Furious Five, known for his sarcasm. Cross, from Arrested Development, 2003 to 2006, was chosen for his comedic background, adding wit to Crane's lines. Behind the scenes, Cross's recordings included ad-libs that sharpened the character's personality. Performance notes show Cross's voice providing balance to the group, with directors noting his contribution to the film's humor. Randall Kim as Grandmaster Roagway, the Wise Tortoise, was a casting that brought theatrical depth. Kim, a stage actor with film roles in The Matrix Reloaded, 2003, was selected for his calming voice and wisdom portrayal. Behind the scenes, Kim's sessions explored Roagway's philosophy, influencing the film's message. Performance notes emphasize Kim's serene delivery, making Roagway iconic. James Hong as Mr. Ping, Po's goosefather, added heart to the story. Hong, a veteran with over 600 credits including Big Trouble and Little China, 1986, was chosen for his comedic timing and warmth. Behind the scenes, Hong's improvisation highlighted the adoptive relationship. Performance notes show Hong's voice conveying love and humor. Dan Fogler as Eng, the Palace Goose Messenger, provided comic relief. Fogler, from Balls of Fury, 2007, was selected for his energetic style. Behind the scenes, his recordings were quick and fun, with performance notes noting his contribution to the palace scenes. Michael Clark Duncan as Commander Walker, the Rhino prison warden, brought booming authority. Duncan, known for The Green Mile, 1999, was chosen for his deep voice and presence. Behind the scenes, Duncan's sessions emphasized Walker's overconfidence. Performance notes highlight his intimidating delivery, adding tension to the escape sequence. The rest of the cast included supporting voices like Wayne Knight as Gang Boss, Kyle Gass as KG Shaw, Laura Keitlinger as Odd Ninja, Tanya Hayden as Sheep, Stephen Kieran as Gong Pig, Mark Osborne as Pig Patron, John Stevenson as Rhino Guard, Kent Osborne as Pig Fan, Emily Burns as Bunny Fan, Jeremy Shipp as Blind Gator, Stephanie Harvey as Bunny Mom, Riley Osborne as Baby Bunny, and Jerry Clark as Commander. These roles, often uncredited or minor, were filled by a mix of animation staff and character actors to populate the Valley of Peace. For example, directors Osborne and Stevenson voiced small parts, a common practice in animation to save costs and add personal touches. The casting for these roles involved in-house auditions, focusing on versatility and availability. The additional crew in casting department, including Mary Hidalgo and Chris Lee Soper as casting associates, supported Feldman in scouting talent. Their work ensured the voice cast's diversity, reflecting the film's cultural influences from Chinese martial arts. The process involved multiple rounds of auditions, with actors recording test lines to match character designs by Nico Marlott. The voice recording process itself was a highlight, conducted in sound booths where actors performed individually due to scheduling. This allowed for focused performances but required editors to sync dialogues seamlessly. The directors encouraged improvisation, leading to memorable lines like "Bo's Kadoosh." The casting decisions emphasized actors with martial arts connections or comedic chops, ensuring authenticity and entertainment. Expanding on Jack Black's role, his casting was not just about fame but synergy with Po's journey. Black's own experiences as an underdog in Hollywood mirrored Po's arc, adding authenticity. He trained in basic kung fu moves for reference videos, helping animators capture realistic fight scenes. Black's enthusiasm extended to sequels, but in 2008, it set the tone for the franchise. For Hoffman, his involvement was a departure from live action, but he embraced it by researching red pandas and kung fu masters. His improvisations, like Shifu's size, added subtlety. The directors noted how Hoffman's Oscar pedigree elevated the project's prestige, attracting other stars. Jolie's casting was also about empowering female characters. She drew from her action background, practicing tiger-like growls. Behind the scenes, Jolie balanced recording with motherhood, recording lines remotely at times. McShane's villainous turn was informed by his Deadwood experience, bringing grit to Tai Lung. He suggested line changes to emphasize the character's pain, influencing the final script. Chan's participation was a nod to his idol Bruce Lee, with Monkey's design inspired by Chan's agility. He advised on fight choreography, ensuring cultural accuracy. Rogen's Mantis was a breakout, his laugh becoming a meme. He joked about the character's size in interviews, adding to promotional buzz. Liu's Viper drew from her Kill Bill swordplay, portraying Grace. She emphasized Viper's empathy, making her stand out. Cross's Crane was sarcastic, drawing from his comedy roots. He ad-libbed lines that stayed in the film. Duck Kim's Oagway was philosophical, with lines like "there are no accidents" becoming quotes. His stage background helped in delivering wisdom. Hong's Mr. Ping was heartfelt, based on his own immigrant experiences. Fogler's Zhang was frantic, matching his comedic style. Duncan's Vicar was his first major voice role, sadly one of his last before his passing in 2012. The minor cast added texture, like Knight's gang boss drawing from his Seinfeld-Newman role for sleaziness. The casting process took months, with initial reads in 2005. Feldman scouted at festivals and through agents, prioritizing voice match over appearance. The ensemble's chemistry, even recorded separately, was achieved through editing and director guidance. This casting model influenced future DreamWorks films, proving star voices could drive animation success. Delving deeper into the Furious Five, each member's casting reflected the group's diversity. Tigress's leadership needed Jolie's command, Monkey's playfulness Chan's charm, Mantis's humor Rogen's wit, Viper's gentleness Liu's nuance, and Crane's poise Cross's timing. The directors balanced the cast to avoid overshadowing Po, ensuring group scenes highlighted individual traits. For antagonists and supporting, McShane's Tai Lung was cast to be redeemable, hinting at franchise potential. Vicar's casting with Duncan added physicality, his voice suggesting strength. The uncredited voices, like Osborne's pig patron, were fun cameos, fostering team spirit. Overall, the casting blended talent, marketing, and artistry, making Kung Fu Panda a landmark. Kung Fu Panda, 2008, production, release, and reception analysis. Production development and pre-production. The journey of Kung Fu Panda began with an unlikely origin story that would eventually become one of DreamWorks Animation's most beloved franchises. The film's publicized work commenced in October 2004, marking the beginning of what would be a 4-year production journey. However, the roots of the project trace back even further to an abandoned adaptation of Rudyard Kipling's The White Seal, for which composer Eric Whittaker had written a setting of the seal lullaby in spring 2004. When DreamWorks decided to abandon this project just weeks later, the studio redirected their creative energies toward what would become Kung Fu Panda. The initial concept was conceived by Michael Lachance, a DreamWorks Animation executive, who originally envisioned the project as a parody of martial arts films. This comedic approach would have aligned with DreamWorks' established reputation for subversive animated features that often poked fun at traditional storytelling conventions. However, the project's creative direction underwent a significant transformation when co-director John Stevenson became involved in the development process. Stevenson's vision for the film represented a fundamental shift from parody to sincere homage. Rather than mocking the martial arts genre, he advocated for creating an authentic action comedy wuxia film that would incorporate the hero's journey narrative archetype. As Stevenson explained in interviews, his philosophy was rooted in genuine respect for martial arts cinema. "I wasn't interested in making fun of them, because I really think martial arts movies can be great films. They can be as good as any genre movie when they're done properly." This approach demanded that the creative team take their kung fu sequences seriously, ensuring they could take our place in that canon alongside respected martial arts films. The screenplay was crafted by the writing team of Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger, who brought their experience from television series including The George Carlin Show, Mad TV, and King of the Hill to the project. Working from a story conceived by Ethan Reif and Cyrus Voris, the writers faced the challenge of balancing humor with authenticity while maintaining the emotional core of Poe's journey from unlikely hero to dragon warrior. The film drew inspiration from various sources within the martial arts genre, most notably Stephen Chow's 2004 film Kung Fu Hustle. This influence can be seen in the film's blend of physical comedy and spectacular action sequences, as well as its respectful treatment of kung fu traditions. The creative team's commitment to authenticity extended to extensive research into Chinese culture, painting, sculpture, architecture, and kung fu films to ensure the visual and thematic elements would resonate with both Eastern and Western audiences. Production designer Raymond Zabak and art director Tang Heng spent years immersing themselves in Chinese artistic traditions, studying everything from classical painting techniques to architectural designs. Their research encompassed both historical sources and contemporary martial arts cinema, with particular influence drawn from visually stunning films such as Hero, House of Flying Daggers, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This dedication to visual authenticity would prove crucial in creating a world that felt both fantastical and grounded in recognizable cultural elements. The project was officially announced to the public in September 2005, when DreamWorks revealed both the film's title and Jack Black's involvement as the lead voice actor. This announcement was followed in November 2005 by the addition of an impressive ensemble cast including Dustin Hoffman, Jackie Chan, Lucy Liu, and Ian McShane. The casting choices reflected the film's international scope, with Jackie Chan's involvement being particularly significant given his status as a martial arts cinema icon. Stevenson's ambitious goal for the production was to create the best-looking film DreamWorks has ever made, a challenge that would require pushing the boundaries of computer animation technology. The complexity of the animation would ultimately exceed anything the studio had previously attempted, requiring innovative approaches to character movement, environmental design, and action choreography. Filming, animation production. The animation production of Kung Fu Panda presented unprecedented technical challenges for DreamWorks Animation. When the head of production initially handed the script to VFX supervisor Marcus Bannanen, her response was reportedly laughter followed by the comment "good luck." This reaction was entirely understandable given the scope of what the film was attempting to achieve through computer animation. The complexity of the project stemmed from multiple factors, beginning with the character animation requirements. Po, the protagonist, required a unique animation approach that could convey both his physical limitations and his eventual mastery of Kung Fu. The animators needed to develop movement patterns that would be believable for overweight Panda while still allowing for spectacular martial arts sequences. This challenge was compounded by the need to animate the Furious Five, each requiring distinct movement styles that reflected their animal characteristics and fighting techniques. To prepare for these animation challenges, the entire animation team participated in a 6-hour Kung Fu class. This hands-on experience proved invaluable in understanding the physicality of martial arts movements, the flow of combat sequences, and the subtle details that would make the animated action believable. The animators studied not just the external movements but also the internal rhythm and philosophy behind Kung Fu, ensuring their work would capture both the spectacle and the spirit of martial arts. The character of Po underwent significant development during the animation process. Producer Melissa Cobb revealed that the character was originally conceived as more of a jerk, but this characterization evolved once Jack Black was cast and began recording his dialogue. Black's natural warmth and enthusiasm influenced the character's development, leading to the lovable, earnest Po that audiences ultimately embraced. The voice recording process itself presented unique challenges. Black worked primarily in isolation, a common practice in animated film production that allows for scheduling flexibility but can limit character interactions. However, recognizing the importance of the relationships between Po and Master Shifu, the production arranged for Black and Dustin Hoffman to spend a day recording together. This collaborative session proved crucial for the scenes in which their characters face off, bringing an authentic dynamic to their relationship that might have been lost in separate recording sessions. Lucy Liu's experience with the project highlighted the unique nature of animated film production. As she noted, it was quite different because it was such a long process. The extended timeline of animation production meant that voice actors often recorded their parts over months or even years, requiring them to maintain character consistency across numerous sessions. Liu also mentioned that when she was first presented with the project, the animators already had artwork of her character Viper, as well as a short computerized video version of what she would look like when she moved. The hand-drawn animation sequence that opens the film deserves special recognition for its artistic achievement. Directed by Jennifer Yu Nelson and produced by James Baxter, this sequence was specifically designed to resemble Chinese shadow puppetry. The stylistic choice served multiple purposes. It established the film's cultural context, provided exposition about the legendary warriors, and created a visual distinction between Po's dreams and reality. Critics, including the New York Times' Manohla Dargis, praised this opening as striking and visually different from most mainstream American animations. Some reviewers compared it to the distinctive style of Genndy Tartakovsky's Samurai Jack, noting similar bold, stylized approaches to action and storytelling. Dan Wagner, head of character animation, later reflected on the production experience with particular fondness. "We've had some productions that were stressful, but this one ran very smoothly, and DreamWorks uses this production as a template on how they would like future productions to run." This smooth production process was attributed to what Wagner described as a sense of harmony on the animation where everyone involved seemed like we were on the same page, believing in the film. The environmental animation presented its own set of challenges. The Valley of Peace, the Jade Palace, and various other locations needed to feel authentically Chinese while also supporting the fantastical elements of the story. The animators used bright, offbeat colors to evoke China's natural landscape while ensuring the environments would complement rather than overwhelm the character animation. The attention to architectural details, from the curved roof lines of traditional Chinese buildings to the intricate decorations of the Jade Palace, demonstrated the team's commitment to cultural authenticity. Post-production. The post-production phase of Kung Fu Panda involved extensive work in visual effects, sound design, and musical composition. VFX supervisor Marcus Manninim's team faced the challenge of bringing coherence to the complex animated sequences while maintaining the high visual standards that director John Stevenson had established as his goal. One of the most significant aspects of post-production was the integration of various animation styles throughout the film. While the majority of the movie employed state-of-the-art computer animation, the opening sequence's hand-drawn shadow puppetry style and the end credit sequence featuring hand-drawn characters and still paintings required careful integration with the main narrative. This stylistic diversity needed to feel intentional and cohesive rather than jarring or inconsistent. The sound design process was equally crucial to the film's success. The martial arts sequences required careful attention to the audio landscape. From the whoosh of movements through the air to the impact sounds of combat, the sound team needed to create an auditory experience that would support the visual spectacle while maintaining the film's comedic tone. The balance between realistic martial arts sounds and comedic audio cues required extensive fine-tuning during post-production. The film's post-production timeline allowed for extensive revision and refinement of scenes. The extended nature of animated film production meant that sequences could be revisited and improved throughout the post-production process. This flexibility proved particularly valuable for the action sequences, where timing and pacing could be adjusted to maximize both comedic and dramatic impact. The integration of voice performances with the animated characters required careful synchronization work. Since much of the voice acting was recorded separately, post-production involved matching the animated lip movements and facial expressions to the recorded dialogue. This process was particularly important for maintaining the emotional authenticity of the performances, ensuring that the characters' expressions supported the voice actors' delivery. Music. The musical score for Kung Fu Panda represented a collaboration between two of Hollywood's most accomplished composers, Hans Zimmer and John Powell. Like most DreamWorks animation films, Zimmer was initially announced as the primary composer, but during production, CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg announced that Powell would also contribute to the score. This marked the first collaboration between the two composers in 8 years. Following their previous work together on DreamWorks' The Road to El Dorado and the action thriller Chill Factor, Zimmer's approach to scoring the film demonstrated his commitment to cultural authenticity. Rather than simply applying Western orchestral traditions to Eastern-themed material, Zimmer traveled to China to immerse himself in the culture and musical traditions that would inform his work. This research trip proved invaluable in developing a musical palette that would respect Chinese musical heritage while serving the needs of an American animated film. The composer's experience in China led to his collaboration with the China National Symphony Orchestra, which became an integral part of the scoring process. This partnership ensured that the film's music would incorporate authentic Chinese instrumental techniques and musical structures. The use of traditional Chinese instruments, combined with Zimmer's signature orchestral approach, created a unique sound that supported both the film's cultural setting and its emotional journey. John Powell's contribution to the score brought additional expertise in action scoring and character themes. His experience with animated films and adventure scores complemented Zimmer's world-building approach, creating a musical landscape that could support both intimate character moments and spectacular action sequences. The soundtrack also featured contemporary elements that would appeal to modern audiences. Timbaland contributed to the musical landscape, bringing his distinctive production style to certain aspects of the score. Additionally, the soundtrack included a reimagined version of the classic song Kung Fu Fighting, performed by CeeLo Green and Jack Black for the end credits. In some international versions, this song was performed by Rain, demonstrating the film's global appeal and adaptability. The musical score needed to support the film's tonal complexity, moving seamlessly between comedy, action, and emotional drama. The themes associated with different characters required distinct musical identities while maintaining cohesion within the overall musical framework. Poe's theme needed to reflect both his humble origins and his heroic potential, while the Furious Five required musical identities that reflected their individual fighting styles and personalities. The integration of Eastern and Western musical traditions in the score reflected the film's broader cultural approach. Rather than appropriating Chinese musical elements superficially, the composers worked to understand and respect the underlying principles of Chinese music while creating something new that would serve the story's needs. The soundtrack album was released by Interscope Records on June 3, 2008, allowing audiences to experience the musical journey independent of the film. The commercial release demonstrated confidence in the score's standalone appeal and provided fans with an opportunity to revisit the film's emotional landscape through its music. Released theatrical Kung Fu Panda's theatrical release strategy reflected its status as a major summer blockbuster and demonstrated DreamWorks' confidence in the film's global appeal. The film's journey to theaters began with its world premiere at the prestigious 61st Cannes Film Festival on May 15, 2008. This premiere proved to be a significant success, with the film receiving what was described as massive and sustained applause at the end of the screening. The Cannes premiere served as both a critical test and a marketing opportunity, establishing the film's credibility within the international film community. Following the successful Cannes premiere, the film had national premieres in IMAX format in the United States on June 1, 2008, at AMC and Regal Cinemas in Hollywood, California. This IMAX release strategy recognized the visual spectacle that the film offered and provided audiences with an enhanced viewing experience that would showcase the detailed animation work. The use of IMAX technology also positioned Kung Fu Panda as a premium entertainment experience, justifying higher ticket prices and creating additional marketing buzz. The film's United Kingdom premiere took place on June 26, 2008, at Leicester Square in London, further establishing its international credentials. These strategic premiere locations ensured coverage in major entertainment markets while building anticipation for the wider theatrical release. The wide theatrical release in the United States occurred on June 6, 2008. Positioning the film perfectly for the summer movie season. This release date placed Kung Fu Panda in direct competition with other major summer releases, demonstrating DreamWorks' confidence in the film's ability to compete with live-action blockbusters for audience attention and box office revenue. The film's theatrical release encompassed 4,114 theaters during its opening weekend, ensuring widespread availability across the United States. This extensive theater count reflected both the film's blockbuster aspirations and DreamWorks' distribution capabilities through Paramount Pictures. To support the film's Japanese release, DreamWorks implemented a unique marketing strategy by commissioning a manga adaptation of the story. This manga was released in Japan in the September 2008 issue of Kero Kero Ace magazine, with illustrations by Takafumi Adachi and writing by Haton Okumer. This approach demonstrated sophisticated understanding of the Japanese market and showed willingness to adapt marketing strategies to local cultural preferences. The international release strategy recognized that Kung Fu Panda's themes and visual style would resonate differently across various cultural contexts. The film's respectful treatment of Chinese culture and martial arts traditions was particularly important for its reception in Asian markets, where authenticity and cultural sensitivity would be closely scrutinized. Home media. The home media release of Kung Fu Panda was strategically planned to maximize revenue and maintain audience engagement beyond the theatrical run. The film was released on DVD and Blu-ray on November 9, 2008. Timing the release to capture holiday sales and gift-giving opportunities. This timing proved particularly effective for an animated film with broad family appeal. The DVD double-disc release included significant bonus content, most notably the short animated film Secrets of the Furious 5. This additional content provided value for consumers while expanding the Kung Fu Panda universe. The inclusion of substantial bonus materials reflected industry standards for major animated releases and helped justify premium pricing for the home media formats. The Blu-ray release took advantage of the format's superior visual and audio capabilities to showcase the film's detailed animation and carefully crafted sound design. For a film that had been praised for its visual achievements, the Blu-ray format provided the optimal home viewing experience, allowing audiences to appreciate details that might be lost in standard definition formats. Recognizing the growing interest in 3D entertainment, the film was later released on 3D Blu-ray on December 6, 2011, as a Best Buy exclusive. This release strategy created additional urgency and exclusivity while targeting early adopters of 3D technology. The exclusive arrangement with Best Buy also ensured prominent retail placement and marketing support. The most recent significant home media release occurred on March 12, 2024, when the film was released in 4K UHD format. This release included the short film Secrets of the Scroll, demonstrating ongoing efforts to provide additional value and expand the franchise's content offerings. The 4K release acknowledged evolving home entertainment technology and provided yet another opportunity for audiences to experience the film with enhanced visual quality. The film's performance in home media markets proved exceptional, with 7,486,642 DVD units sold in 2008. Kung Fu Panda became the fourth highest-selling film and the highest-selling animated film of that year, surpassing even WALL-E, which sold 7,413,548 units. This achievement was particularly noteworthy given WALL-E's critical acclaim and award recognition, demonstrating Kung Fu Panda's broad commercial appeal. By February 2010, the film had achieved remarkable home entertainment success with 17.4 million units sold worldwide. These figures encompassed various formats and international markets, demonstrating the film's global appeal and the effectiveness of DreamWorks' home media distribution strategy. The film's availability on streaming platforms has continued to evolve with changing entertainment consumption patterns. The release on Peacock on June 6, 2024, marked the 16th anniversary of the film's original theatrical release and provided a new generation of viewers with access to the film through contemporary streaming services. Reception box office. Kung Fu Panda's box office performance exceeded industry expectations and established it as one of 2008's most successful films. The film's opening weekend proved particularly impressive, grossing $60.2 million across 4,114 theaters for an average of $14,642 per theater. This opening weekend performance was significantly better than analysts had predicted, demonstrating the film's unexpected broad appeal and effective marketing campaign. The opening weekend success was particularly notable because it represented the highest-grossing opening for a non-sequel DreamWorks animation film at that time. This achievement highlighted the film's ability to generate excitement without relying on established franchise recognition, a significant accomplishment in an increasingly sequel-dependent market. During its second weekend, the film experienced the typical box office decline, retreating 44% to second place behind The Incredible Hulk. Despite this drop, the film still grossed $33.6 million with an average of $8,127 per theater from an expanded 4,136 theaters. This performance demonstrated solid staying power and suggested positive word-of-mouth reception among audiences. The film's theatrical run extended for 125 days, closing on October 9, 2008. During this period, Kung Fu Panda accumulated impressive domestic and international box office totals. In the United States and Canada, the film grossed $215.4 million, while international markets contributed $416.3 million, for a worldwide total of $631.7 million against a production budget of $130 million. These figures established Kung Fu Panda as the third most successful film of 2008 and the highest-grossing animated film of the year worldwide. The film also achieved the distinction of having the fourth largest opening weekend for a DreamWorks film at the American and Canadian box office, trailing only entries in the Shrek franchise. The film's success was particularly significant within DreamWorks Animation's catalog. Kung Fu Panda became the highest-grossing non-Shrek film from DreamWorks Animation in the United States and Canada, maintaining this distinction until How to Train Your Dragon surpassed it in 2010. The international box office performance demonstrated the film's global appeal. The respectful treatment of Chinese culture and martial arts traditions resonated particularly well in Asian markets, where the film was received with both commercial success and critical appreciation. In China specifically, the film achieved remarkable success, earning nearly 110 million yuan by July 2, 2008, making it the first animated film to earn more than 100 million yuan in the Chinese market. This achievement was particularly significant given the Chinese audience's sophisticated understanding of kung fu traditions and their potential sensitivity to cultural representation in foreign films. Critical response. The critical reception of Kung Fu Panda was overwhelmingly positive, with reviewers praising various aspects of the film's execution, from its visual achievements to its respectful handling of cultural themes. The film achieved an 87% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 192 reviews, with an average rating of 7.1. The site's consensus read, "Kung Fu Panda has a familiar message, but the pleasing mix of humor, swift martial arts action, and colorful animation makes for winning summer entertainment." Metacritic awarded the film an average score of 74 out of 100 based on 36 reviews, indicating generally favorable reviews. This score reflected the broad critical appreciation for the film's technical achievements and entertainment value. Audiences also responded positively, with CinemaScore polling showing an average grade of on a scale from A+ to F. Richard Corliss of Time magazine delivered particularly enthusiastic praise, stating that the film provides a master course in cunning visual art and ultra-satisfying entertainment. This review highlighted the sophisticated level of craftsmanship that critics recognized in the film's visual presentation and storytelling approach. The New York Times review by Manola Dargis captured the film's unique appeal, describing it as at once fuzzy-wuzzy and industrial strength. The tacky-sounding Kung Fu Panda is high concept with the heart. The review called the film consistently diverting and visually arresting, particularly praising the opening sequence's distinctive style. Chris Barsanti of FilmCritic.com provided some of the most effusive praise for the film's visual achievements, blazing across the screen with eye-popping, sublime artwork. Kung Fu Panda sets itself apart from the modern domestic animation trend with its sheer beauty. The film enters instant classic status as some of the most gorgeous animation Hollywood has produced since the golden age of Disney. Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune focused on the film's comedic effectiveness, calling it one of the few comedies of 2008 in any style or genre that knows what it's doing. This praise highlighted the film's successful balance of humor and heart, avoiding the trap of relying solely on visual spectacle. However, the critical response was not uniformly positive. Tom Charity of CNN criticized the action sequences for tending to blur into a whirlwind of slapstick chaos and considered Poe too similar to other characters played by Jack Black. This criticism reflected concerns about whether the film's action sequences maintained clarity and whether Black's performance offered sufficient distinctiveness from his other roles. Peter Howell of the Toronto Star awarded the film 2.5 stars, noting a lack of story while acknowledging that it frequently manages to amuse, if not entirely to delight. This review reflected a perspective that the film's entertainment value was somewhat undermined by conventional storytelling approaches. The film's reception in China proved particularly significant for validating the creative team's approach to cultural representation. Chinese director Lu Chuan commented, "From a production standpoint, the movie is nearly perfect. Its American creators showed a very sincere attitude about Chinese culture." This endorsement from within the Chinese film industry was particularly valuable given potential sensitivities about Western interpretations of Chinese cultural elements. The film's success in China led to interesting cultural introspection, with local commentators questioning why no similar film had been produced within China itself. These discussions attributed the absence of comparable Chinese productions to various factors including lower film budgets, excessive government oversight, limited national imagination, and overly reverent attitudes toward cultural icons. This analysis suggested that Kung Fu Panda's success revealed opportunities within Chinese cinema that had not been fully explored. The cultural theorist Slovej Ring 1/2 via 3/4 sec offered academic praise for the film during an appearance on Charlie Rose, providing intellectual validation for the film's themes and approach. This type of serious critical attention from academic circles demonstrated the film's broader cultural impact beyond its entertainment value. Awards recognition further validated the film's critical success. Kung Fu Panda received nominations for both the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature and the Golden Globe Award for Best Animated Feature Film, though it lost both awards to Wall-E. Jack Black's humorous acknowledgement of the competitive situation at the 81st Academy Awards. "Each year, I do one DreamWorks project, then I take all the money to the Oscars and bet it on Pixar. demonstrated the film industry's awareness of the strong competition in animated filmmaking. The film achieved particular success at the Annie Awards, winning 10 awards, including Best Animated Feature, out of 16 nominations. However, this success sparked controversy, with some accusing DreamWorks head Jeffrey Katzenberg of manipulating the voting process by purchasing Sci-Fi Hollywood memberships for DreamWorks animation employees. This controversy highlighted the competitive nature of animation industry recognition and the high stakes involved in award competitions. The film's critical legacy has proven enduring, with continued appreciation for its visual achievements, cultural sensitivity, and entertainment value. The positive critical reception helped establish the foundation for the successful franchise that followed, validating the creative team's approach and encouraging further development of the Kung Fu Panda universe. The combination of commercial success and critical appreciation established Kung Fu Panda as a significant achievement in animated filmmaking, demonstrating that respectful cultural representation and sophisticated visual artistry could coexist with broad popular appeal. This success provided a template for subsequent DreamWorks animation projects and influenced broader industry approaches to culturally themed animated features. Review and Facts. Number 1. Kung Fu Panda is a story that almost tells itself in its title. It is so hard to imagine a big, fuzzy panda performing martial arts encounters that you intuit, and you will be right, that the panda stars in an against all odds formula, which dooms him to succeed. For the panda's target audience, children and younger teens, that will be just fine, and the film presents his adventures in wonderfully drawn cinemascope animation. It will also be showing in some IMAX venues. The film stars a panda named Po, voice of Jack Black, who is so fat he can barely get out of bed. He works for his father, Mr. Ping, James Hong, in a noodle shop, which features Ping's legendary secret ingredient. How Ping, apparently a Stork other build member of the avian family, fathered a panda is a mystery, not least to Po, but then the movie is filled with a wide variety of creatures who don't much seem to notice their differences. They live in the beautiful Valley of Peace with an ancient temple towering overhead, up zillions of steps, which the pudgy Po can barely climb. But climb them he does, dragging a noodle wagon, because all the people of the valley have gathered up there to witness the choosing of the dragon warrior, who will engage the dreaded Tai Lung, Ian McShane, in Kung Fu combat. 5 contenders have been selected: the Furious 5, Monkey, Jackie Chan, Tigress, Angelina Jolie, Mantis, Seth Rogen, Viper, Lucy Liu, and Crane, David Cross. Tigress looks like she might be able to do some serious damage, but the others are less than impressive. Mantis in particular seems to weigh about an ounce, tops. All 5 have been trained, for nearly forever, I gather, by the wise Shifu, who with Dustin Hoffman's voice is one of the more dimensional characters in a story that doesn't give the others a lot of depth. Anyway, it's up to the Temple Master Roagway, Randall Duck Kim, an ancient turtle, to make the final selection, and he chooses a yes. He chooses the hapless and pudgy Po. The story then becomes essentially a series of action sequences, somewhat undermined by the fact that the combatants seem unable to be hurt, even if they fall from dizzying heights and crack stones open with their heads. There's an extended combat with Tai Lung on a disintegrating suspension bridge. Haven't we seen that before? Hand-to-hand two-tail combat with Po and Tai Lung, and upstaging everything. An energetic competition over a single dumpling. Kung Fu Panda is not one of the great recent animated films. The story is way too predictable, and truth to tell, Po himself didn't overwhelm me with his charisma. But it's elegantly drawn, the action sequences are packed with energy, and it's short enough that older viewers will be forgiving. For the kids, of course, all this stuff is much of a muchness, and here they go again. Number 2. Slacker Panda. Po Black gets more than he bargained for when he is selected as the Dragon Warrior, a fabled kung fu master, and pitted against the vengeful snow leopard, Ian McShane. With the exception of the first Shrek and Aardman's efforts under its aegis, DreamWorks animation has tended to pale considerably when compared to the Pixar monolith Shark Tale, B-Movie and Madagascar, where mediocre efforts, stranded in a morass of quickly dating pop culture references, uninspired gags and the general absence of the spirit and visual acuity that sets John Lasseter's mob apart. And, apart from an excellent manga-style dream sequence that opens the picture, it seems after the first 25 minutes or so of Kung Fu Panda that the run is going to continue. There's nothing particularly compelling here, as Jack Black's Po gets accidentally selected to become the fabled dragon warrior, and tries desperately to prove himself to wise old Master Shifu, Dustin Hoffman, and his new, skeptical dojo mates. In fact, it's pretty rote stuff, as Po topples over, bumps into things and sends stuff flying like a fat, furry version of the Chuckle Brothers. But then something rather wonderful happens, ratcheting the film up to the dizzying heights where Pixar and a few select others reside. That something is an escape attempt by the movie's villain, Tai Lung, voiced with relish by Ian McShane, a psychotic snow leopard so dangerous that he's been imprisoned in a mountain hellhole constructed especially for him. In an exhilarating sequence, Tai Lung manages to negotiate the 3 fiendish levels of the jail in a flurry of punches, kicks and gravity-defying leaps that culminate in a magnificent series of vertigo-inducing shots. In fact, ignore the fact that you're seeing combinations of panda, snake, tiger, snow leopard, crane and monkey duking it out, and chances are that the kung fu action sequence of your dreams is here. From a devilishly clever sequence where the Furious 5 take on Tai Lung on an unraveling rope bridge, to a hugely enjoyable training sequence between Shifu and Po and the final showdown between Po and Tai Lung, featuring the funniest use of slow-mo we've seen in ages, directors Mark Osborne and John Stevenson take advantage of the limitless possibilities of CGI to bring us action on a scale, and of a type, rarely seen before. But it's not all about, surprisingly violent, fisticuffs or roundhouse kicks. There's a level of visual beauty here that's a notch above anything DreamWorks has attempted before. A sequence where the ancient master, Oogway, Randall Duck Kim, blends with a cloud of cherry blossom is achingly gorgeous. And, while the movie doesn't deliver frequent belly laughs, it does get funnier as it goes along, with the relationships between Po and Shifu particularly rich in humor. Of course, it's all leading to a standard be yourself message, but while the kidlings are digesting that tidbit of profundity, you can wallow in action that well and truly socks it to your chops hard. You'll never look at Ling Ling in the same way again. Rudimentary plot and merely decent gags aside, this is the finest DreamWorks animation effort since the first Shrek, chiefly because of its astonishing visuals and kinetic kung fu sequences. Number 3 Martial arts movies have always had a certain cartoonish element, so DreamWorks' martial arts cartoon Kung Fu Panda makes perfect sense. Taking full advantage of CinemaScope's widescreen to splash quicker than the eye action across striking Chinese landscapes, animators led by directors John Stevenson and Mark Osborne deliver a movie that is as funny as it is frantic. Though aimed primarily at youngsters, KF Panda embraces humor that plays well across age groups and nationalities. Certainly the sustained applause at its play debut here and can bodes well for international box office success. The stroke of genius is, of course, the film's hero, the big, lovable bear that is the Chinese panda. Sweet-looking, perhaps a bit clumsy, seemingly unflappable. What could be an odder hero for a kung fu movie? Transforming a panda named Po, voiced by big, lovable Jack Black, into a kung fu fighter to save a threatened village in ancient times is essentially the entire movie. He does not start with a lot of promise, only a boundless enthusiasm for the discipline and a seeming inability to perform its simplest tasks. His dad, a goose named Mr. Ping, James Hong, that discrepancy is never clarified. Runs a noodle shop and expects his son to follow in his web steps. But Po longs to train under Master Shifu, Dustin Hoffman, and alongside his heroes, the Furious 5, Tigress, Angelina Jolie, Viper, Lucy Liu, Mantis, Seth Rogen, Crane, David Cross, and Monkey. Is that Jackie Chan? He miraculously fulfills this impossible dream when the inventor of Kung Fu, Oogway the Turtle, Randall Duck Kim, anoints him the long-prophesied dragon warrior. Comic calamities pile on top of one another until Shifu recognizes Po's true driving force as insatiable appetite. A bun or a cookie snatched from his grasp has Po performing feats of remarkable agility and no little ferocity. He is soon ready to face the villainous Tai Lung, Ian McShane, a snow leopard who descends on the fearful village to exact revenge his own rejection as the dragon warrior. Like most Chopsaki movies, KF Panda strays not at all from its twin goals of action and comedy. Whatever points the script by Jonathan Abel Glenberger want to make to children about pursuing goals, it does so quickly and gets back to the fights. A battle along a rope bridge between the Furious Five and Tai Lung and Po's showdown with his adversary dominate the final third of the film after the mostly comic run-up to those battles. The animation is clean and vivid. Backgrounds and sets are appreciative tributes to Chinese landscape art and architecture. The fighting style of each animal, whether a snake, a tiger or a monkey, is subtly rendered, and the filmmakers have clearly studied the best Asian martial arts films to spark inspiration for those gravity-defying stunts. Cast: Jack Black, Po, Dustin Hoffman, Shifu, Angelina Jolie, Tigress, Jackie Chan, Monkey, Lucy Liu, Viper, Ian McShane, Tai Lung, David Cross, Crane, Seth Rogen, Mantis, Michael Clark Duncan, Commander Vicker, James Hong, Mr. Ping, Randall Duck Kim, Oligway, Dan Fogler, Zeng. Number 4. Po loves to play with action figures of the legendary Furious Five via Tigress, Crane, Mantis, Viper and Monkey. He dreams of being in their ranks as a true deliverer of kung fu awesomeness, but, alas, he is only a chubby, stumble-footed and easily winded panda, not a lightning-fast, disciplined martial artist. So he's stuck in the family noodle business. When word goes out that a dragon warrior will be chosen to fulfill legend and defend the Jade Kingdom from the dreaded martial arts master Tai Lung, Po can't contain his excitement. With a great deal of effort he lugs his considerable heft up the hundreds of steps to the Jade Palace to see who will land the great honor. Turns out, he lands Ida after accidentally crashing the try-out party. Nobody can believe it, especially not the Furious Five and their kung fu master Shifu. But since the enemy is already on his way, they have to do something. If Tai Lung gets his hands on the lauded Dragon Scroll, he will surely be powerful enough to rule the world. Po must do whatever it takes to face the fearsome and treacherous foe. A broken bar right after lunch. That is, positive elements. Po wants to honor his father even though he is drawn to martial arts and not to the family business. When Dad realizes where Po's gifts lie, he embraces his son and gives him his blessing. They both express their love for one another. Doing your best and believing in yourself is a theme that runs throughout the movie. Master Shifu doesn't believe that Po is the right choice to defend the kingdom, and initially he tries to get him to quit. But when the older and wiser Oligway asks him to train and believe in Po, Shifu submits to his mentor's request and gives the task his all. Later, Shifu risks his life to give the townspeople time to escape Tai Lung's wrath, and the Furious Five, though great warriors themselves, honor Shifu's request that they take care of the innocent rather than fight. Master Shifu raised Tai Lung from a small cub and loved him like a son. Before the two battle, the elder master speaks of his pride for Tai Lung, but he goes on to apologize for how that same pride negatively impacted the angry fighter. Spiritual elements. This being a martial arts story set in China, characters are influenced by the Eastern spirituality around them. Oligway, the philosophizing turtle master: yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why they call it the present. Has a dream that the imprisoned Tai Lung will escape his bonds and return to the kingdom, which comes true. He also believes that there are no accidents and that the universe has delivered Po to be their dragon warrior. When sensing that his end is near, Oligway dissolves into a swirl of fruit tree petals that float into the sky. After being chosen as the dragon warrior, Po is ushered into the sacred hall of warriors. There he finds an urn that is supposedly filled with the souls of a defeated army, and when he accidentally breaks the urn, a glowing puff of smoke is freed. Po and Master Shifu visit the small mountain lake called the Pool of Sacred Tears that the master says is the birthplace of Kung Fu. When seen from above, the pool looks like the ancient yin and yang symbol. In a dream, Po sets off to fight 10,000 demons of Demon Mountain. Spoiler warning. A great deal of spiritual mystery revolves around the Dragon Scroll. Many believe that when a great warrior reads the scroll he will be imbued with magical superpowers. In truth, when the scroll is finally unrolled, it has nothing to do with magic at all. Sexual romantic content when Po clamps two noodle balls to his chest. It gives the impression that he's wearing a bikini top. Violent content. Oogway is the only character who dies, but the kung fu fighting is constant and furious, although often presented in a humorous manner. Beginning the starstruck Po's training, Shifu tells him, "The only souvenirs we collect here are bloody knuckles and broken bones." He proceeds to oversee Po's preliminary pummeling at the hands of the Furious Five, as well as mechanical creations designed to poke, prod, whack, toss, tilt, whirl and burn with B kung fu fighters. There are a few battles with Tai Lung that, while not really scary, could seem fairly intense to very young viewers. He's a pretty powerful looking, always snarling presence, much like Shere Khan from the Jungle Book, only with roundhouse kicks. In one case, Tai Lung escapes from prison and battles numerous rhino captors with spectacular kicks, leaps and throws. The rhinos are hit, in slow motion, with their own spears and clubs. And the Furious Five battle the villain on a whiplashing rope bridge suspended above a bottomless chasm. It looks like someone could fall to their death at any moment. The bad guy paralyzes several of the five with a nerve pinch. Tai Lung fights with Master Shifu and the two hit and kick each other with acrobatic swirls. Tai Lung throws blade weapons at his former master and Shifu knocks them aside. Shifu hits a stone pillar and is knocked unconscious. Spoiler warning. The film culminates with a huge fight between Po and Tai Lung, which is played for laughs all the way through. Fur flies. A building collapses. Craters are blasted into the earth as bodies crash down upon it. A nuclear-level shockwave expands outward when the final blow lands. When it's over, Po runs to Shifu's side and it appears that the Kung Fu master has died. But he soon points out that he's really just getting some much-needed rest. Crude or profane language. Shifu calls Po an idiot. One of the Furious Five says that the panda has a fat butt, flabby arms and a ridiculous belly. Later, when commenting on his performance, Po says, "I sucked more than a broken bar anyone in the history of sucking." Other note for the elements: a passing reference is made to gambling. Po straps himself and a bunch of fireworks rockets to a chair. When he lights them, he's blasted high into the sky. When Po first shows up, the Furious Five are not happy about his presence. One says, "You're a disgrace to Jade Palace and everything we stand for." Po is hit in the crotch while training and exclaims, "My tenders!" while being hit by Tai Lung. The panda's belly is jiggling so hard that he laughs. "I'm gonna pee." Conclusion: when I walked into the screening for Kung Fu Panda, my expectations were low. The movie's trailer looked only so-so and I was anticipating that a theater full of kids and I would be bombarded with heavy-handed Eastern mysticism, pummeled by imitable fist-to-face bash and smash, and based on comedian Jack Black's past film choices handed a noodle bowl full of poo-poo humor. I was pleasantly surprised. I found a colorful garden where I half expected a bog, lush watercolor visuals and fun characters instead of flat animation and bland storytelling. A few kids will certainly come out of the theater itching to try out some of the roundhouse kicking, panda belly bouncing bedlam they've seen on screen. But if the little hissing rascals a colleague of mine saw after the film are any indication, the moves they'll try are going to be of the friendly variety, not headlocks and punches. Previously stated spirituality is definitely present, but it's as spare as a martial arts cartoon set in ancient China will reasonably allow, and the humor runs clear and fresh. In the film's production notes, co-director Mark Osborne had this to say: "It was important to all of us, from the start, that Kung Fu Panda would have a theme, a positive message that we really believed in. We wanted it to be a fun experience loaded with comedy and great action, but we also wanted there to be a takeaway that we all believed was a good one. To that end, the story projects a well-worn follow your heart and believe in yourself theme, but it also encourages finding your own strengths, being disciplined, learning from those who are older and wiser, protecting the innocent and standing up for what's right even when you're afraid you might fail. Oh, yeah, there's one more thing this film encourages: hordes of cuddly stuffed animals forever frozen in kung fu poses. After spending more than 2 decades touring, directing, writing and producing for Christian theater and radio, most recently for Adventures in Odyssey, which he still contributes to, Bob joined the Plugged-In staff to help us focus more heavily on video games. He is also one of our primary movie reviewers. Number 5. So DreamWorks Animation, what a company. This studio is pretty known for making great heart animated movie but also making way too many terrible. Let's see what movie I'm picking. 1 second. Aha! Kung Fu Panda. The universe has brought us my next DreamWorks analysis review. The only reason I rewatched Kung Fu Panda is that the 4th one is pretty close. This movie is not one of the terrible ones, just your average animated kids movie. It's more than that. There is so much effort and talent and can be a work of art. As the song says, this movie can easily be another Shrek ripoff, but thankfully it's not. Like Wreck-It Ralph, it's one of these movies that is so flawless that you have a hard time to pinpoint first, and I enjoyed it more than I was a kid. So without a further ado, it's getting into it. Animation is stunning. For a movie from 2008, it holds up very well. Just thinking for the animation for the time, like look at Space Chimps, and even today animated movies like look at Frozen 2 and you look at Kung Fu Panda, it's night and day. The animation is visually striking and the set designs looks like real places you can go. It not like modern movies where the concepts is changed to be realistic, which as a result makes it lame and less unique. Example is the Beauty and the Beast remake, but you look at the concept and it's just wowing and beautiful. There are many contrasting colors and lighting. The character designs has the perfect balance of realism and cartoonist stylized, and you can understand the character just looking at their designs. Also, this movie is based on China, which is barely represented in animation. I mean, the only movie I can think on top of my head which represented that culture is Mulan. The Kung Fu Panda movies has 2D animation every of their movie, and the end credits, which is a cherry on top. Po is a great written protagonist. Po can easily be written as a Shrek ripoff wannabe character arc, but no, they take it a lot further than that. I love Jack Black's performances, by the way. He was introduced as an optimistic fanboy of the Furious 5, but he is stuck making noodles with his dad after he take his father and the random pig. He decided to go anyways to see his heroes and who will be the chosen one to be the Dragon Warrior. He ended up getting chosen as the Dragon Warrior by Master Roagwe. I love the opening of his dream. The reason why Kung Fu Panda works so well to me is Po and Master Shifu. The conflict between Po and Shifu was understandable and natural, and there isn't a misunderstand or a liar rebel subplot, thank God. Po failed at his first class. He sneaked but destroyed the floor, which always cracked me up as a kid. He ended up in Crane's room and he said he doesn't belong here, but he refer it as his room. But when Po meets Tigress, she says you don't belong here again, but in a more serious way, and she says that Po is a disgrace to Kung Fu. So meanwhile, after Bowser sings Peaches, 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 I love you. Oh wait, strong movie, exclamation mark. So meanwhile Oogway came to Po. Po talks to Oogway how he became more of an outcast by saying everyone has their qualities by not himself, and doubt himself to become the Dragon Warrior. Oogway says yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. This is why it is called the present. And knocks down to the peach tree and Po revived a peach. I love it. First Shifu sees Po as an accident because he isn't what Oogway expected to be, a mighty warrior, but a big fat panda, or the big fat panda might I say. He isn't really a bad person at the start. He respected Oogway and you can tell he has been the Jade Palace for his entire life. I love he is a red panda, which is barely represented in animation outside of turning red. I love that later we learn that Tigress says Shifu was more of a father figure when he adopted Tai Lung. He really deep down cared for Tai Lung, which I'll talk later about him, don't worry, and raised in Tigress a similar way. When Shifu heard Tai Lung has escaped the prison and heading for the Dragon Scroll, he told Oogway about it, but Oogway suggests to Shifu Po to fight Tai Lung instead of himself. Shifu didn't understand what he meant at first and uses a peach for growing into a peach tree without any changes at all because he says there is no accidents and asked Shifu to guide Po without Oogway moving on. It's such an impactful and the score is impeccable. Amazing job John Powell. Shifu later sees Po's skills by climbing up to find Monkey's cookies without anyone's help, even doing the splits. Shifu realizes that Po is not a weak loser than he thinks. He trains Po in a montage which is so satisfying and earned. Later Shifu challenges Po to eat all of the dumplings. By the way, if you pause at the right moment, the scene when Po is about to eat the dumpling, Shifu does a fourth wall break by looking at the audiences, which is a cool detail. I love that when Po finally got the dumpling he doesn't want it, and I love that Shifu was amazed at him, which feels less like a Toy Story wannabe and more like a true friendship. Tai Lung is a supreme villain. Who needs a hero without a villain? Because Tai Lung is a show stellar and our battle will be legendary. Just so iconic. The reason I love Tai Lung so much is because of his backstory. He is disillusioned by the Dragon Scroll and because of Shifu trains him for the Dragon Scroll for life but wasn't given the chance because Oogway sees the dark of him. He was outraged and lost all meaning by that but was sent to prison. This makes him a more engaging and three-dimensional villain. I always feel bad for his backstory. Even as a kid I felt sorry. I know villains is on the nose when it came to the dramatic, annoying, tragic backstories, but here it's well executed in my opinion. The action is so cool and the contrast of the blue color is perfection. The pacing plus tone is perfection. There is not a single moment I feel bored because how this movie feed us so much information without doing it too much. I would argue this is truly DreamWorks' second animated movie to have a serious tone after The Prince of Egypt. Sure, the Shrek movies do have a grounded tone, but for the most part the movies it's the ha-ha light-hearted silly tone to it. The actions of awesomeness. Now action. I mean DreamWorks isn't known for action movies, they're known for the Shrek ha-ha. Disney. I mean the Shrek movies do have some action but nothing on this scale, and it's also not the focus of that movie, unlike superhero movies these days where it's very straightforward and less exciting to me. Like I said, I don't hate Marvel of any means or just superhero movies in general. Here it says so much effort every single shot and the shot frames are dynamic and fluid. The Furious 5 is a nice inclusion. I didn't have much to say about the Furious 5 than the other characters, but still, I love that the Furious 5 gang each having their own opinions and personality. None of them feels one-note and lazy. I love that Tigress isn't like just a bully. She thinks Po is an embarrassment to Kung Fu at first, but when she revealed the story of Tai Lung and you can feel for her, and during the conflict she cares for Po. I like the Furious 5 aren't idiots to say the least. And yes, you can never escape of Seth Rogen. I'm not saying I hate his voice any means. He also voiced Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens by the next year after Kung Fu Panda came out. The Dragon Scroll is brilliant and subversive. Now there is a trend when it came to DreamWorks movies, when get it right they are brilliantly subversive, like Shrek is basically the anti-Disney, or How to Train Your Dragon when the Vikings are actually more dangerous than the dragons themselves, and of course Megamind being the subversive movie of all time. I'm worried for Megamind too, like is this real movie? Anyways, I love that at first it's just blank, like there is nothing, but when Mr. Ping says Po about his secret Krabby Patty formula is nothing. Yes, it's nothing, not because to disillusion the capitalism of the customers like someone else, it's to see your potential of your destiny, and every accident is your destiny. This is the character arc Po learns throughout the movies, and this is way Tai Lung completely missed the point of this meaning. It's not one of those be yourself kids Krabby bland message. It's a unique one for sure. The scene when Shifu and Tai Lung fights each other goes so hard, and the scene Tai Lung realized after he got his grubby hands on the Dragon Scroll he saw nothing. He throws it down to Po and reflects on him, but then Po got some cool action. After the cool action, Po Thanos snaps Tai Lung say this line skadoosh, and he learns that earlier in the movie because he acknowledged everything that is Kung Fu. The villagers and the Furious saw Po and shared and respect for him. Wait, what about Shifu? Oh no, he is dying. Someone call the I'm not dying you idiot. I'm simply at peace. Oh, the movie is over. Final thoughts. So that was Kung Fu Panda. It's a movie that can stand the test of time, and in my opinion the execution of the movie is better than Shrek by a landslide. I'm not saying Shrek is worthless any means, it has a great message, but I personally liked Kung Fu Panda more than Shrek. Is it perfect? Crime offense, but no, however it's quite minor and it's 1 inch away from perfect. It's that the time taking. As an example, you see Po just learn how to do Kung Fu in hours, or Tai Lung came to the Jade Palace for like an entire day. It's a chosen one hero's journey type of story, and movies tend to forget about it, and it can be a bit jarring when time is not taking as an advantage. Is it one of the greatest DreamWorks movies? Yes, of course it's this good. Just go watch like it's this good. So overall I'll 100% recommend this, and you guys need to keep in mind that I love movies when they are done or written right. They became a great culture impact and a household name. It has great characters, fantastic score, good sense of humor, great aesthetic, outstanding animation, incredible music, and a great way to start a franchise. So that's everything I got to say.